Good morning, everybody. We'll kick things off this morning. Thank you for coming. You can feel summer's approaching, starting to see the traffic and the activity rising. It's been very, very busy at your police department over the last few weeks. I think I touched upon it with Captain DaCosta last month, but we rolled out the body-worn cameras, so all of our officers are wearing the body-worn cameras now on patrol. We have training this week. We have a new CAD system going in. We currently use IMC, that computer system, for all our record keeping, and we're going to a company called Mark 43. So it's going to be very hectic over the next 2 weeks. We have trained the trainer this week, and then we're training the entire staff the following. We're trying to kick this off before summer because, as you know, we go crazy, going for 100 miles an hour. And the other big news is our radio system is being installed this month. As you know, our radios don't work in certain areas of town, especially in the Woods Hole area, so that's going to be rectified. We had one little issue with one of the sites because those birds nest. However, they're not there, so we're going to be able to use that final site. There's 9 sites that are going to really make it so our radios are very efficient and they work, right, for your protection and for officer safety. And then lastly, again, this month, you're going to see all the pay parking meters are going to be taken out by DPW and pay stations are going to be put in. You'll still be able to utilize a credit card or cash in them, but also there's going to be the opportunity you can download an app and pay that way. And why that's kind of cool is, let's say you're at the Water Street Kitchen and your dinner's going over by 20-30 minutes. Right there from the dinner table, you can add a few pennies in there to make sure you don't get a ticket from our parking enforcement. So it's really been extremely busy. Like I said, staffing-wise, I still have 3 open positions right now. I'm trying to fill. If it's not 2 lateral transfers, we'll send 3 to the academy in September, October, right here in Falmouth. So, like I said, next month, I'm still trying to figure out what we're going to have next month. I may have the new liaison to the senior center. A new officer is going to be coming in, Detective Porter. Just couldn't put the commitment into it, so we're going to be replacing that person. And then we'll figure out moving forward through the rest of the summer. If there's anything that you want to see, please contact me or my administrative assistant, Kristen Nickerson, and we can schedule, if there's any a topic that you want us to present on. Real excited. We have the Falmouth Service Centers here today. They're going to present, but I'm going to introduce our state representatives here to say a few words. Very appreciative you coming, Tom. Tom Oakley.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Chief. Thank you to the Falmouth Senior Center here. Really appreciative for all that you guys do. I wasn't on the schedule today, and actually I'm going to come back for a full conversation with my colleagues representing Falmouth in the state legislature, David Vieira from T-Ticket and Dylan Fernandez from Woods Hole, who's in the Senate. I just wanted to briefly introduce myself. I'm Thomas Moakley. I grew up in Falmouth. I have a huge admiration for the Falmouth Police Department because I used to be an assistant district attorney for the Cape and Islands, and I worked with a lot of their officers, including Detective Porter. And now representing precincts 1, 2, and 6 of Falmouth, as well as all of Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket, I'm over on the island a lot, so I know that their Woods Hole parking enforcer is everywhere all at once, and it can sometimes be frustrating for someone commuting to the Vineyard. So they do their job extremely well. Please reach out to our offices whenever you're having any issue with any state agency. That's what we're there for. I'm a member of the Judiciary Committee as well, so the issues of community policing are very near and dear to me. And so I want to be as accessible as possible. Some of you may know my grandfather on my mom's side was Ray Kenny. He was principal of East Falmouth and T-Ticket schools, and his wife, my grandmother, Carol Kenny, she was an attorney here in town. But anyway, just wanted to say hello, and I'm delighted to introduce someone that I admire, someone who also does an incredible job for our community here, Kerin Delaney, who's the Executive Director of the Falmouth Service Center.
Good morning. Thank you. Thomas is one of our volunteers, so I just want to give him a shout out. So thank you very much for having me today. How many of you are familiar with the Service Center or the work we do? Okay, few hands. So the Falmouth Service Center started in 1983. Many of you, there was a number of people involved in the faith community in Falmouth who said, there's some neighbors in need who need help. So in 1983, they got together and started a very tiny, small food pantry. At the time, the superintendent of schools gave us permission to be in the basement of the Mullen Hall School at that time. So we were way down a flight of stairs in the basement of the Mullen Hall School. And bit by bit, it started growing and the word got out. We moved 4 times. We then went to the Chamber of Commerce building on Academy Lane, and then the White Hen Pantry, right next to the White Hen Pantry over by McDonald's. And we've been in our current location on Gifford Street since 2001. At that time, the organization hired their first full-time executive director, and we have grown by leaps and bounds since 2001. I think many of you may have known the previous executive director, Brenda Swain. She was an active volunteer here, and we miss her very much. I've been at the Service Center for 15 years. I was hired as the very first assistant director. When Brenda hired me, she hired me for 20 hours a week hourly. So, and that was back in 2009. Brenda was a little on the fence whether or not we needed any extra help. So Brenda agreed to just 20 hours for our new assistant director. So since that time, we have grown astronomically. We now have 13 staff. We have 500 volunteers. When they first moved into our building in 2001, we only had 35 volunteers. So that just shows you the growth we've had since just 2001. So the Service Center is many things to many people. We are the regional food pantry. We serve any household in need from any zip code. So, and that's changed, it happened since COVID. So right now, 94% of our clients come from across the entire Cape. 6% come from off Cape. Some people are driving upwards of 45 minutes to an hour to get to the Service Center to pick up food. They can pick up food on a weekly basis for their family, and a lot of people think we're just a food pantry, which they think they just associate canned goods. We are far more than that. People are coming weekly, not only to get the basics, your peanut butter, your jelly, but we have fresh produce every week, we have meat every week, we have milk, eggs, cheese, all of those things so that people can feed their households. Because all of you know how expensive Falmouth has gotten to live in. I've lived here since 2001, how expensive it has grown here. And in order to stay in your home, a lot of people find that they need help here and there. In addition to our food program, we have a home delivery program, which is for homebound. That's just for Falmouth. And we have mobile markets. We have a mobile market out at Joint Base Cape Cod for our military families and the civilians that work on the base. And then we have a mobile market that goes in the Falmouth Public Schools. We rotate between 4 schools in the district, and we go there once a month after school, and families can come with their child and pick up fresh produce at these mobile markets. Then we have financial assistance. We often have someone who's either a medical issue's come up, they've just temporarily been laid off, something's come up and they need help with either rent or mortgage or utility. We can help with a basic bill, so you may know of someone who may need assistance in that way. It's an easy application. They do have to be a client of the Service Center, but you can certainly refer people to us for that kind of assistance. And again, we help with rent, mortgage, and gas, electric bill, and heat bills. And that's just for Falmouth. In addition, we have programs that help benefit the community. So we have a back to school program that happens every August. We're just about to begin enrollment. We begin enrollment at the end of the month. And that's open to Falmouth and Mashpee families who are our clients. Last year we helped 300 local children with getting back to school. They get a backpack filled with school supplies and a gift card. Their parent gets a gift card towards the purchase of new clothes. The idea, it's called Fresh Start. The idea is that every child should go back to school with a fresh start. No one should be made to feel that, they don't have a backpack on the first day of school. We have a children's holiday program. That's for Falmouth and Mashpee as well. Some of you may have been involved back in the 80s and 90s when it was a toy program. We collected toys and distributed toys. At that time, that changed during COVID. Now children receive a brand new coat, hats, gloves, and their parents receive a gift card so they can go shopping for their children. During COVID, we had to change that because that program took about 150 volunteers to pull off during the month of December. We have a turkey basket program. So last year we collected 1,037 turkeys. People came up Gifford Street the Sunday before Thanksgiving. It's the one day a year that we kind of block Gifford Street. But it's for a good reason because people are all contributing turkeys to us for our baskets. And those baskets go to, again, any of our food households, so any household in need that's already our client, as well as the military. We provided 300 baskets to the military families out at Joint Base Cape Cod. In addition, we have then a range of smaller programs. How many of you have ever been to our hand-in-hand thrift shop? All right. Our shop used to be the Emerald House thrift shop next to on Davisville Road, next to East Falmouth Elementary, and we sort of outgrew that location. So back in 2017, we relocated over on Sandwich Road. We're across from Papa Jake's. It's the hand-in-hand thrift shop. That has grown astronomically. It's now our biggest donor to our programs. They are our largest donor because all the proceeds from the shop benefit the Falmouth Service Center and allow us to run our programs. Many people, it's become more, we wanted it to be a reasonable place to buy things, but also to keep things out, to give people a vehicle to keep things out of the landfill. And so we have as many donors coming to bring things at the back. They walk around at the front. They purchase as much as they left at the back. And it's been very popular. It's just a fun shop. You never know what you're going to find. We have antiques, we have jewelry, we have men's, women's clothing, we have albums. We have some people come in just looking at albums. We have other people who go right to the book section. Other people who want to go to housewares. We have a lot of second homeowners, so they go and buy things for their second home here. We have renters. They try to outfit their apartments there. And that has just been an absolutely huge success, aside from the parking. I know parking's a problem there. We lease that spot, so we don't really have too much control over the parking lot. But the thrift shop has just been absolutely phenomenal for us. So before I go too far, and I did bring some brochures and our new newsletter, which just hit mailboxes on Saturday. So if you don't get our paper newsletter in the mail, I have some copies up here. And it goes through, and actually the front article is about Brenda and I, and if Thomas is still there, it's a picture of us at the State House, actually. On a day that it was an advocacy day, and we were up at the State House. So before I go too far, I understand this is normally a conversation. Anybody have questions as I go on about some of our programs or impact in the community? Yes. Yep.
That's all right. Just want to know what you do in order to be qualified.
The question is, what do you do to be qualified? So for our food programs, it's very hard to walk through the doors of a food pantry and say you need food for your family. So we are partner with the Greater Boston Food Bank in Boston, and we get about 60% of our food from there. And in order to qualify for the pantry, it's a verbal. You sit down with someone, you do a short interview, but verbally, it's letting us know your income level. No one has to prove their income level. We don't want to make it harder to get food, as you know, so sometimes there is a little bit of a wait, and we're not the grocery store, but it's just letting us know verbally and verifying your address. Good question. Yes? Was there another question? Yes. Oh. Yeah. Sorry. Broke the rules. Okay.
I found out recently that on the base, they have like a market, fresh market, and that's sponsored by the Falmouth Service Center, is that correct? That's correct, right?
Yes, that's the mobile market I referenced. Yep.
Yeah, I didn't hear that part, but if you go there, that means that you, if for whatever reason, you'll be taken off the list at the service center here?
No, that's an outreach program. So the only one, we have that mobile market out at Joint Base Cape Cod. That's open to the military that live on the base, civilians working on the base, and there are some veterans who have access to the base. The key for that program is you have to have a base pass. Not everybody does. But if you have a base pass and can go to that market, you can still be getting food at the service center. In fact, it's only an outreach market, so we bring about 8 produce items there and a handful of some of the items there. So that if you want the full menu, so every week we have a new menu. It's posted online Mondays at noon, and there's about 40 to 55 items on that menu. And that's everything from pasta and sauce, peanut butter. Last week we had pineapples and sweet potatoes and 5 different meat choices. So there's a lot of things we can't bring to Joint Base, so people are eligible to still come. But that's a great question. Did you have a question? Anybody else? Okay. If last year we distributed 1.1 million pounds of food in 2024. That's the second year in a row we've distributed that amount of food. The food has, pre-COVID, we served about 200 households a week. Now we serve upwards of 600 households a week. The need is tremendous in our community, and mostly we really do encourage people to come to the service center because if they can save some money on their food bill by getting food through us and supplementing their food budget, they might have a couple of $100s to put towards an electric bill, a heat bill, their rent bill. We had, at the end of last year, a senior couple called us to let us know they had they had been tracking their budget, and at the end of the year, they wanted us to know that by coming to us every single week of the year, they had calculated they had saved $10,000 by getting food. So they wanted us to know because they said, I think people don't realize the impact you have, and you can tell people what we said. They had come every single week. They got some of the basics. They got fresh produce. They got meat. So what they didn't get from the service center, then they could get at the market, but they just found their dollar stretched much further at the market by coming to the service center. And just trying to get by here on the Cape on just Social Security has been proven to be a challenge. So we really encourage people to do come to the service center. We partnered with Jill and Lauren extensively during COVID, where really is when we saw our senior population increase because of that partnership during COVID, where everybody was doing home delivery at that point. So it is very easy to come to the service center. You can print the menu at home, or we have the menu available. And then you just choose the items you want. You don't have to take food you don't want. People submit their menu, and we fill the order while you wait. So it now takes, by the time you drop off your order and you wait to pick it up, it's like 10 to 12 minutes that you're waiting, and we fill your order. So it's been very convenient. And as I said, so the 1.1 million pounds of food was distributed to all our households. All in last year in 2024, we assisted 11,000 members of our community. That's through all of our programs, but about 70% of our food households come from Falmouth. So we are essentially we've figured out we're helping about 1 in 4 households in Falmouth currently with the year-round population. So we really have grown tremendously since 2001 and have such a huge impact in this community. Anything I'm missing that you guys can think of that I didn't?
So the relationship is unbelievable. I mean, you're right, you do everything. What's also been great is we've also had an information table here once a month with the service center. So if people are coming to the senior center, if they didn't know what the service center had to offer, there's a representative here to talk to them and, you know, answer some questions and stuff like that. You know, we encourage you to check it out. Check out any of these locations. You know, the thrift store is awesome.
Yeah.
It really is.
And what I'll say is, you know, you may know someone who needs of our services. We also have Brenda, and in my article I said, Brenda always thought of the service center of being somewhere where you could go if you needed help or if you wanted to help. As I say, we have 500 volunteers, much like here. There's a lot of volunteers that takes to run an organization. So we have 500 volunteers that help us run our 16 programs. Like out at Joint Base, we're there twice a month, so they might only volunteer for that. Home delivery, that's twice a month. They might only volunteer for that. Or we have people like Thomas, who was on the weekly schedule. He was there every Tuesday morning, helping with food distribution. So we have a number of ways for people to volunteer. Also, if you're interested in volunteering, or you might know someone who wants to volunteer, because even though we're 13 staff, we could never run 16 programs, help 11,000 people with just 13 of us. And we, as I say, we have 3 people over at the thrift shop who work there, and then there are 10 of us full-time and part-time at the service center. But this organization helps so many people in the community in a variety of ways, and even, you know, as a volunteer. If any of you have driven by our building, we are actually doing an expansion project right now because we outgrew, we used to have a clothing room on site, which was a free clothing room, and then we needed the space for food. So it got moved to the front of the building, and then we needed the space for the food, so then it moved to the back of the building. And during COVID, we absolutely needed the space for the food, so the clothing room was shut down, and that's been a real loss. We've had clothing outside, as if it's an outside yard sale, since COVID, but we have to move, it's weather dependent. So we've had a lot of rainy, windy days. So we're building a new clothing room that's gonna be inside. It's free for our households that are picking up food. And upstairs, there are gonna be community partner offices. So Lauren's been to the service center. She's done an outreach table. We have other groups that come to the service center. They're going to be able to use those community partner offices, sort of like you have offices upstairs, so it'll be similar.
So the question, if you're adding the clothing to the new addition, do you still have people, is it funneled through the thrift store and the thrift store brings the clothes over, or do you need people to drop at the service center?
That's a great question. All the processing what's that? I said that was the plan to the question. We didn't set it up beforehand. So you can, all donations go to our hand-in-hand thrift store. They have a donation drop-off at the back. Our friendly volunteers will greet you. Everything gets processed there. Things like your Talbots, your Coldwater Creek, your LL Bean, those things go to the shop. Then the next group goes to the service center so that we have items for our clothing. We have in the past also been able to share with Falmouth Theater Group, the Clipper Closet at the high school. Sometimes we get an overabundance of teen clothes. If we get prom dresses, that goes to Clipper Closet at the high school. We don't really have a way to sell prom dresses at the thrift shop. Falmouth Theater Guild, we've had some very fun things come in, and they're happy to have it for their shows. Things that you might not necessarily buy through us. So all donations get processed at Hand in Hand Thrift Store, and they are sending clothes routinely over to us on a weekly basis for our clients to pick up. Great question.
Yeah. And just so you know, too, so like if there's clients that are going to the service center or if there's clients coming here to the senior center, You know, whether it's the outreach at the service center or outreach here at the senior center, we provide those resources for people so that they're very much aware of what's out there, whether it is clothing, whether it is food, whether it's fuel assistance, SNAP assistance, any of that. So we try and get people directed to where the resources are. There's certain things they may not be able to do that Lourie can do here at the senior center and vice versa. So it's a very great local collaborative effort.
That's the one thing we are really focused on. We want to collaborate in as many ways as possible. We don't need to reinvent the wheel and do something specifically for seniors. We don't need to reinvent the wheel and offer legal consults. We can partner with someone who does that. That's we can. So where we can, we try to use the expertise that's in the community and bring it on site to make it much easier for people to access all in one building. And so yes, we do have fuel assistance, like the senior center has fuel assistance. Primarily what started in 1983 as a teeny tiny small food pantry has really grown into something in our community that's part of the economic engine that allows Falmouth to function. Because it allows people to live and work here and be able to afford it. We are now a key part of what helps allow people and families to stay in this community. So happy to take any more questions. Yes?
Yeah, this regards bottle and can redemption. I'm just curious because coincidentally... Hi. Regarding bottles and can redemption. Coincidentally, my trunk is full of cans. My wife put them in there because I'm going to drop them off now. I want to know, because it's always packed there, are you making money on the redemptions?
We work with someone, we provide employment to a member of Fairwinds who works there and runs the bottle shed. It is frequently full. He's very part-time.
Yeah.
But we do accept bottles and cans, and that program pays for employment.
Well, my question is it good for the service center? Is it a plus?
Oh, yes, it's a plus.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, definitely.
Because we continually bring a lot of cans and bottles down there, and if you're not making money, then I'm going to feel guilty for everything I brought down there.
Oh, no, yeah, it's a plus. It's on our budget.
Then
yes.
I'm happy to keep keep filling the coffers.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you very much. Yeah, it's a real plus. It's hard for us to keep up, but it's a wonderful program. Thank you.
Jack.
She's not sure she wants to speak of it. Actually, I don't need this. I speak rather loudly. I just want to say, I'm so uplifted by all that you do. When we moved to Falmouth, we knew it was a great community, but we didn't realize the social safety net that this community has. And the service centers are key, obviously. The churches, the senior center, and so many other nonprofit groups. But it's amazing that most communities don't have something like this. Is this a rarity that such an expansive operation in a small town or a relatively small town exists? I don't think where we lived previously there was no such operation.
That's a great question. Could you all hear his question? Yeah, okay. That the service center has grown to become an incredibly vital safety net. There are often small faith community-based pantries in some small towns, some communities. Here on the Cape, we're very lucky in that there's tremendous collaboration. There's something called Cape Cod Hunger Network, where we all partner as food pantries. But you are correct. We are very blessed in Falmouth to have an organization like the Service Center that does 16 different programs and that we all collaborate. I mean, the level of collaboration in the town of Falmouth between other partners is unbelievable. I have also worked for a number of nonprofits and lived other places, and we have volunteers who say, there was nothing like this when I moved out of this state or that state. So you are correct. There are pantries in towns, but this kind of organization that does so many. Now, I will say, like, there are places like Housing Assistance Corp and Community Action Committees that do very similar things. But this Cape community is amazing in that the amount of resources they offer to people. Thank you.
This isn't a question, it's regarding what you just said. I think that our community here, we have a wonderful group of people who are willing to put in their time and effort to volunteer and help out all the different organizations. And I think that's where we were able to get to where we are now.
Yeah, I would say Falmouth is very unique. It does feel like even on the Cape, there's a level of camaraderie, collaboration that's really incredible. What I see with a lot of the nonprofits and the town departments is wanting to provide services together, that where no one's competing, and we do rely on volunteers. So a lot of these programs, the departments, the town committees, there's just a huge way to volunteer your services in Falmouth and be a part of the community, whether it's the 300 committee or FCTV. I mean, it's just Falmouth runs on volunteers. It's amazing.
A comment also.
Yep.
I mentor at one of the elementary schools, and I was there when they came in. I had no idea that you did that with the food at the elementary schools where the parents can come in. I was very, very impressed.
Thank you. Yeah, that program is not widely advertised because it's only open to the Falmouth Public School families. So it's advertised through the families. We are there, so we'll be at the high school this week. And yes, it's an amazing program. Parents from anybody, if you have a child in the Falmouth Public Schools, you can go to any of the markets. You don't have to have a child at East Falmouth. You can have just kids at the high school. But it's been a tremendous outreach program for us.
Wonderful choices.
Yes. Our warehouse director does a great job ordering. As I said, we get about 60% of our food from the Greater Boston Food Bank, but we're purchasing 40% with donated dollars. And that's a lot of that fresh produce. So we might be able to get potatoes and onions right now from the food bank, and then we're buying pineapples and strawberries and blueberries, things that, and then we can bring those to the outreach markets, to the joint base markets. But thank you. Yeah. Anybody else? Yes?
Would you tell us your name again, please? I'm sorry, I missed it.
Oh, yes. My name is Kerin Delaney. And as I said, I started as the assistant director at the Service Center, became more than 20 hours a week. And then about 5 years ago, when Brenda stepped down and retired, became the executive director. Thank you.
Great. It's an amazing organization.
Okay. Yeah.
They really, really are. We're very fortunate. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you very much.